Hello there, my name's Vince from My Mate Vince and welcome to day 13 of the Amazon Advent Repair Challenge. Will it be unlucky for me today or will I actually be lucky? Let's see if we can fix anything on day 13.
Wesselwork vacuum cleaner.
Here we have an Enigma weasel work. I mean, I already love it. Weasel work. That's just brilliant. Anyway, it's completely dead. Unfortunately, it has had a bit of use, but it doesn't look like it's had much use. The thing with a vacuum cleaner is you go around your house once and the inside always looks a bit ruined anyway. It's just that when it's not your dirt, it makes you feel a bit grubby working on it. But anyway, you can see I'm plugged in here. I'm turned on the wall, and when I do this, nothing's happening. So let's take it apart. Well, I'll check the fuse to begin with. It could be as simple as the switch. It doesn't look like it's had much use, so it's failed very prematurely. I don't think it's going to be anything too major, but let's find out. Right, annoyingly, I don't think it is weasel work. I think it's Wessel work. And I googled it, and there seems to be a lot about them on Google. So I'm wondering if Enigma's the name of the model, and Wessel work might be the actual manufacturers. Chalfont St Giles. That's not a million miles away from me. Imported. Let's see now. It says push. This comes off here. Is this some kind of filter? Yes. Okay. Well, first things first, let's check. I'm just smelling it. It smells clean. Let me just check the fuse here. Excellent. Fuse is okay. Right. I'm going to say it's this switch. But the switch has failed. Already there's nice attention to detail that there's a little hole here that you can see what fuse is in, you know? Stuff like that's nice. Well, I can see a load of screws everywhere. I'm just going to undo them all. But all the screws are the same so far. In fact, Chalfont St Giles doesn't bring back the best memories for me, because when I was at, I think it was before I started uni, I needed money. And my dad was working on the building site and basically got me a job labouring. I didn't really know what labouring would entail. What it actually entailed was I had a broom in my hand and it was a massive block of flats that was getting updated, renovated. And all I had to do for 6 weeks was sweep. I'd be just sweeping. I'm amazing now with the broom. I can use the broom in every orientation, getting into every single corner. 6 weeks off using the broom. So, yeah. But it wasn't the most enjoyable. Sometimes people will come into the room and they'd be like, is somebody in here? And I'd be like, yeah. And then the whole room would just be in a cloud dust. Right, you can see now that we've got a little capacitor here to stop noise from interference from going back down and affecting other things in the house. This is this all looks all right, so I don't think there's any problem there. But sometimes when you do awful jobs like that, you appreciate other things, you know? I know it sounds mean, but I think it's good for people to sometimes do things that are not nice, because then they kind of realise that they're more grateful when they have a job that isn't as bad as that. Every one of those screws is the same, which is brilliant. So, here we go. That's now come off. Right, so that's unveiled another screw here. And there's one down here as well. So this bottom bit must somehow come off. Right, that's hard to come out. Oh, here we go. There you go. That was nice. Did you see that? Boom out and then that way. Right, so we're definitely getting in there. I love the fact that all the screws are the same. How good is that? I'm assuming this is a cheap product, but I really don't know. Because so far it seems to be designed quite nice. Now, does this top bit come off? Oh, there we go. So it is clipped on, but by doing that, you help break it. Excellent. That's amazing. Right, so we have... That's just to release that. Don't lose the springs. Whoa! And that goes there. Right, oh, That's the filter for that. Okay, so it's all pretty self-explanatory so far. Is this turning? That's turning okay. You know what? That looks very similar to my paint sprayer motor. Imagine if the brushes has gone on this again. Mind you, we can't see black everywhere. Right, I think it's going to be the switch. So let's go continuity onto these two little points, and then when we do this, it should go beep. Is my prediction correct? So, nothing there. Nothing there. My mate Vince predicted it correctly. Look at that. Oh no, what? It is there. What? When I went on that to begin with, there was nothing there. So that means then, let's just quickly work out what's happening here. So we have two wires going up to here. They both go down to here. So one of them is straight on the neutral, and the other one goes to the red, which goes up to the switch, which goes to here. So unfortunately, it means we do have a motor problem. Wouldn't it be interesting if it was the same as the paint sprayer? Because it does look, everything here looks to be very similar. Are you going to come out? Yes, you are. Right, I can't see any carbon brushes broken there. And I can see the brushes. And I can see the commutators nice and clean. Let's give ourselves a little bit more slack. What is wrong with you? So can you see we've got one nice brush in here, one nice brush here, and when I spin this here, from here, you can see that commutator is nice. It's not clicking or making any weird noises. So we're going to have to go from continuity now onto, I wonder, is that a thermal fuse? I wonder, has that gone? Let's go, let's do continuity across here and here and see, well, here and here, and see if we can see the coil. So here and here, can we see the motor? Yes, we can. No, we can't. No, we can't. We can't see the coils of the motor. So continuity, we are going to have it from the plug right the way up to here. So what are we on, live? No, but here is coming up on this one. Now neutral here, and now let's kill this here. We'll still have neutral, but we won't have live anymore. There. So it's switching the live. So we definitely know it's a problem with the motor, but what is the problem? So I'm going to take a picture. Mind you, it doesn't matter, does it, which way it goes round, because it's AC, so it doesn't matter. We have these tiny little tabs here to help release, I think. Is that a tab here? Yeah. There we go. It's nice when they have their little tabs there. You just press that in and it comes off easy. So on this one here, I come round here and just lean in through the rubber and it pops off nice and easy. Let's get rid of all this because it's just taking up room. I think we're going to have a look in here, whatever this is, and I think this is going to be a thermal fuse, and it says what it is here. I'm just going to take a quick picture so I know how to put everything back, if it can be fixed. Right, this is definitely some sort of thermal fuse. Let's zoom in and see what it says. 105 degree. Oh, I hope it's not this, because I'm not going to have one in that design, but I do have other thermal fuses, but that one looks really, really well made. I've just got little black plastic ones. That looks amazing. But at least I've got a nice mark in there to buy a similar one. I presume they're easy to get. Right, let's see if that's gone. So how am I gonna get in here? So if I was to scrape back, because this leg here goes on to here, can you see just at the bottom there? So if I was to scrape back a bit of the enamel here, then we should be able to test. There you go, you can see now the copper on the inside. Let's see what we've got. Continuity. Yes or no? I'm going to say no. We've got it. It's not the thermal fuse. What on earth is going on? It's not the thermal fuse. Huh? Does that mean the windings have gone? No way. Okay, so one lot of winding goes to here. The other lot of windings must go to here, yes? So between here and here we should have continuity, but we don't. Oh no, the windings have gone. So let's go to here. That's actually worse than the thermal fuse. I'm praying it's the thermal fuse now. Yeah, so the windings have gone. Well, we can definitely see it comes up here. So unless it's broken just as it attaches onto here, which is a possibility, then I think we've kind of had it. Again, for me, it's finding out why something's failed. So now we know the windings have failed, so it's not creating a magnetic field to make the motor spin, which is always interesting. And I suppose it's got nothing to do with the windings of the actual motor in there, to do with the commutator type windings. It's these big windings here that have failed, because otherwise we would, we would still have an ohm reading between here and here. Right, so I'm going to have to try to, because we know that's okay to the tip there, so we have to try to get in here, or scrape back the wire just as it goes onto here. You see just here? That tiny little wire going onto, I'm going to try to scrape that without scraping this here. Because I'm wondering whether it's failed just as it's been crimped onto here. I think I've scraped it back. I can see a little bit of silver. So here. No. So it's not fixable. It's in the actual coil somewhere. How bizarre. I don't think that's overly common. Oh, is this loose? Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Here it is down here. Look at it. Boom, you're broken down here. We found it. You're broken down here because did something spin? Or, well, it's clearly worked because there's dust inside it. So where are you going? So you come up and you come up in here somewhere. Where's the other end of the brake? If I can find the other end of the brake, we can fix it. If I can't find the other end of the brake, I can't fix it. So it looks like it came up. I mean, what would have caused it to break? Luckily, there's not that many coils, but I don't want to have to take all this apart. What I'm going to try to do is just do the coils one by one, and maybe, that's easier said than done, hopefully one's going to be on the outside here. Maybe one's going to suddenly give. And I don't mind losing one wrap, you know? I always struggle what to say there. Is it a, I say revolution, but it's not really a revolution, is it? Because it's not turning. One, I can't think of the word. You know, if I want to undo just one lot, convolution? Hold on. Sir, what does convolution mean?
Convolution is usually defined as a rolled up or coiled condition.
Wow.
Ask me to give you
A rolled up or coiled condition. I think convolution might be correct. It just sounds kind of wrong. So I go across the enamelled wires, giving each one of them a little pull with the plastic spudger to see if one gives. If one gives, then I know that's the other end of the brake. I don't mind losing one convolution. I can just solder it together, put a little heat shrink on, and I think it will work fine. But everything I go across seems rock solid. See, looking at this here, it definitely looks like it's been melted before it broke. So when we find the other bit of wire, we should also find it where the enamel's burnt and a little bit there. Unless, of course, this is soldered onto something, but I don't believe it is. This has to be independent of that spinning middle bit. It has to be. Ah, and this is this where it goes over to this side, to this coil here. Oh, it might be, mightn't it? It might go, I pulled it, but it could be going to the bottom to this coil. It might be this coil here, which is, and maybe it's because of the spinning motor that it was very close to it. It might have been just nicking it as it was going around, and after half an hour's of use, it broke through. So then I start looking for a break on the other coil, thinking that maybe they're linked. But I couldn't find any break or wire that gives there either. I wonder how easy I could take this off from here. So you've got 2 screws here. That'll probably take off this top half. Well, let's start there. Got a nice proper bearing in there. You know, a ball bearing from like a skateboard or a roller skate wheel. Okay, so that looks like it's come away from the bottom. But how am I going to get this out from here? If I loosen that nut, I wonder will it just come straight out? Will I be able to loosen the nut, or will everything just turn? Let me get my socket set on that. Luck is on my side today. I picked the very first one, 12mm, and boom, I think it fits. Now, did you know, I never knew this, that if your socket is shaped like this, it allows wobble. So the idea is you can put it on just a little bit like this, and it gives you that little bit of play while you've still got the rotational strength. And then if you want it solid, like an older socket from years ago, boom, it goes in there, and now there's no wobble. I never knew that at all. My brother taught me that. It's good, isn't it? And if I didn't know it, there's going to be others out there like me. So now, how am I going to do this when I've got no way of holding on to the commutator? I wonder if I was to put this in here. I think it's just going to snap this. Oh my word. Luck really is on my side today. So we got that, then we got a washer. Now, are you going to come through? No, you're still not going to come through. I can see it's pinched. Oops, there goes one of the screws. And there goes the other. Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. We're out. Results. Okay. Is that just loose in there? Yes, I think. Is that a separate plate than that? There's some. Oh, we got a washer here. That's what was wobbling. Okay, that's fine. We've got a washer here. So we can put that, we can just leave it like that. Right, okay, that's good. That's brilliant. Now, oh, yes, 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 yes. Brilliant. I'm really starting to make progress on this now. Well, that's all very nice, isn't it? Okay. Now, we have much more room here now. So this goes up around, and it goes into here somewhere. Hold on a minute. What? Oh, it's here. It's broken from in here. Look. Can you see the length of that? Let me zoom in. Why would it be attached to that? Imagine if this was the inside the magnet here, that would lead perfectly, would it not, to here, the bottom of here. It's come away from here, I'm certain of it. Here, hasn't it? And that's why it looks funny at the end. What is this? Oh, is this what connects up this coil? Maybe it is. I just want to try to work out what's going on here. I'm sure it is from that, but we put our spades on here and here. So is this here to here? Where does the wire go round then? Hold on a minute. My brain hurts. Got it going here. That goes round here. It's not joined to here at all. So it's not joined to there. It's joined to here. How is that? This must be joined to here, no? Maybe it goes down inside the plastic somehow and back up again to join this. Anyway, let me zoom out. The coils have to be joined, don't they? So we know that this is the broken one. So should we see if we have something from here to here? We do. Have we got it from here to here? We don't. Have we got it from here to here? No. Have we got it from here to here? No. Have we got it from here to here? Yes. Right. I'll tell you what we're going to do, just for the time being. It never helps when you don't understand how something works. I'm not sure how this side joins the other side. So let's just pretend now that I fixed this and it's going onto here. Will I now have continuity through everything? So from here to here. No. So I still haven't got it anyway, so I think there's more problems. Haven't got anything there to there. But now we've got it there to there. Energized. What am I missing here? Wow, I thought I understood motors, but clearly I do not at all. Right, let's try to lift this thing out, because it's not doing anything in its place anyway. And see if I can get the wire through. Right, let's see, has that come out? See, that's broken there. Actually, it looks rusty. This has glue. There we go, we're out. Well, I think it's just been glued in, and that's acting as an IDC connector. Does this somehow touch something on? Here you go, we've got a burn here as well. Does these touch onto here? These are my word, Vince. These are the things that bring power to the brushes. Yes, yes, amazing. Oh my words, you were shouting at that screen, weren't you? I got there though, my mate Vince got there. These, quite simply, touch onto here. So, we have power coming in here. We have power coming in here. It goes through the coil. This then touches the brush on this side here. And this one that I've just pulled out touches the brush on this side here. So all I have to do is solder this onto here and get this back in here. As long as this here is touching this, it should be working. So let's feed this back up through here. Hopefully there will be enough slack. Because what I can do is, I wonder, can I get it on the very inside? I wonder, can I feed it through slightly on the inside to get me more room? Come on, come through. Come through. Oh my word, I was really confused there. I'll tell you what we'll do. Don't make life hard for ourselves. Let's lift this up and get this down. There we go, look at that. I think that's given me a bit more room. Oh, that feels good working that out. It feels like an old Vince video. Right, that's going to be in there like so. So I'm going to melt away all of this rubbish here, or scrape away. And then we're going to give it a good solder job. So I scrape back the enamel off this wire and I try to tin it up. But every time I go to tin it, it just gets dirtier and dirtier. I can put loads of solder on the actual thing that's going to touch the brushes, the thing with the IDC connection on, but I can't get solder to stick to this actual wire. I use my grinding pen, I try to solder it over and over again. It's not soldering, so I do not know what this wire is made out of. I'm wondering, instead of copper, is it some sort of copper clad steel or enamel clad steel for cheapness, or enamel clad aluminium? Because copper, I should be able to solder on. My iron's plenty hot enough. I try to use flux. I try cleaning it again. It makes no difference. So what I have to do eventually is scrape it back, because it's really easy to scrape back. When you scrape it, it goes back to bright silver. So it might well be aluminium. And then I force it into the IDC connection, and then I plier the IDC connection shut. I call it IDC because it reminds me of telecom. Installation displacement connector. And then I use pliers to crimp it onto it. So now the wire is on the piece of metal purely by being crimped onto it, you know, with the pliers just forcing down. But I don't think it's going to be a good connection, especially with the vibration of the motor. So then what I do is I flood the metal thing with solder. I don't care that that's not sticking to the actual wire, as long as the wire is held in place with the metal. And then if I flood it with solder, the wire can't really work its way loose because it's embedded in solder. This does take me a good 10 or 15 minutes to do, hence the reason I'm fast forwarding through it. But anyway, we do get the connection on there. I test it with my multimeter numerous times throughout it, and it looks like we have 3 point something ohms on the good side and 3 point something ohms on the bad side that has now been fixed. So I love it when you find something which is definite and then it all makes sense. I know 100% now that the wire is broken from here, and I fully understand what that connector does. So the reason the motor wasn't working is because no power was getting to one of the brushes on the motor. So let's pick it up now when I've got it in place, and then what I'm doing is I'm putting epoxy down inside it, because remember it was glued in there to begin with some sort of like reddish glue. So I'm using epoxy, and then I need to let it dry for a good half an hour or so. We'll come back to the video a little while after the epoxy has been done, and then hopefully I can show you it working on the ohms test. Well, it's been about 45 minutes or so. You can see it's dripped down here. Yeah, it's still slightly tacky, but it's gone hard. Right, so let's just double check now if we still have continuity between here and here, here and here, and here and here. Excellent, we didn't have that before. And now I just need to bend that there. And that looks similar to that one over there. I haven't really messed with that top one, so I'm hoping that's going to be okay. Right, let's try to get the motor back together. Then I've got to try to get the vacuum cleaner back together. Now, I didn't notice which way that went in, but it's AC, so it's not going to make a difference, is it? I don't think. Well, if the motor's blowing and not sucking, then I know I'll have to spin this round the other way, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. Right, so that's going to go against there, and that's going to go against that brush there. That's nice. Okay, is that spinning? I think it will. Right, so that has to go through, this screws into here, and this goes into here. Okay, well, it's free to turn now, but it's not actually turning the motor. Let's pop this on and see if it will start to turn the motor. Right, the problem I have now is I'm trying to tighten it, but this is just spinning down here, even though the inside fan is not spinning. So how do I jam this up to allow that to spin? I don't want to put anything on the commutator because it's going to damage it. How are you supposed to do that? You know what I mean? I've got to hold it somehow in here. I'll tell you what, I'll do it with my fingers and thumb. Well, I can only get my finger in just to see if it... No. Here we go, I think it's gripped. I think my finger did the trick. There. Look at that. You can see how much force I just put onto that. Not that much. Right, maybe that's enough because it undone pretty easy. And can I turn it? No. Hold on. I think I've done that too tight. There we go. It might do. Now, do I put some oil in it or not bother? Mind you, there was no oil in it originally, was there? Okay, so now, where it was different before is we should now have a reading because it's going to be going through the brushes and through the commutator on these ones here. And before it was completely open and now it's not. You can see there, 18 ohms. So that's going through the internal winding, not the winding that I fixed, but the internal winding. Well, sorry, it's going through my winding, which is 3 ohms on each of them. And then it's going through the internal winding. So I suppose if I was to go onto here and here, it'd be, so what have we got here? Because we know we've got roughly 7 ohms between both of the internals. And then we have 18 ohms there. So does that mean we're going to have about 9 ohms here? 12 ohms. Okay, 12 plus 3 plus 3 is 18. But it was more than 18. It was more than 3. It was 3 point something. Okay, yeah. About 3.3 or something, wasn't it? Right, well, there you go. It all adds up, which is good. Now, I'm going to try to put this all back together and we'll see if it's got any suction. So the next time you see this, it will be back together because I don't want to test it like this in case it kind of starts rolling around the place. That went together surprisingly nice. Whoever's designed this has done a very good job. I had to take apart the middle casing off the motor, not the motor, but the casing a couple of times because I forgot to put this in and you had to get the spring underneath that. And also there was a way of routing the wires, but it was all self-explanatory. Once you used your eyes, there was little cutouts in the plastic to route the wires. So whoever's designed this has thought out every little bit of it, as far as, you know, putting it together and taking it apart. So good job. Now, is it going to work or is it just going to hum and break? Remember, I'm not 100% sure how tight or loose that inside bit should be there. Hopefully it will be okay. I'm going to plug it in so we are off. Let's plug it in. Please don't go bang, I'm going to stand up. Here we go. Results. Is it sucking? Whoa. Yes, it's pretty powerful. Come on, give me that. That's good. It sounds like it might be a little bit tight because when it shuts off very quick. If you listen to the motor, I mean, I don't know what it should sound like. I just think it sounds like it should go on a few more seconds. Listen. Do you know what? That's really weird. That sounded perfect then, but when I was doing it before, it sounded like it was cutting off quick. Anyway, if it is a little bit tight, I'm sure it's going to wear, and then it will become sort of, you know, the natural looseness again. Right, let's put together the other bits and let's see if I can vacuum clean up something. All right, here goes. What I'll do is I'll just film for 30 seconds or so, and then I'll continue cleaning around the house, and we'll see if we have any dirt in here, because although we have a little swirl mark here, that's just where someone's washed it out. There isn't actually any dirt in here. So that will be the proof if it is actually working. I can already see a major problem. The lead is far too short. Way, way, way too short. So you'd be stuck to doing each room at a time, while normally, you know, with Henry and stuff, you go from one room to another while still plugged in. Right, here we go. Nice and light though. Doing this one-handed. It's definitely picking up. Well, I'm going to do the rest of the area now. Right, I just went round for about 5 minutes and I can already see that there's a huge amount of dust in here. So it picks up incredibly well. I could feel it picking up, but it's not that nice to use. For example, this one doesn't glide across the floor that nicely. When you compare it to a Dyson with the rollers at the end, the brush roller kind of feeds the vacuum along rather than you constantly having to push it. It's not hard, I'm not saying it's hard, but it's just not as nice as a more expensive product. I don't even know how much this is. I'm going to say, before even looking up, $39.99, but I have zero idea. Anyway, I can see it says max here. I think I'm already up to the max amount. Obviously you would be doing this over the bin, but I'm going to do it here for your enjoyment to see what it's picked up. Wow, that is crazy. And I'd like to say that I think we keep our house quite clean, but look at that. That is crazy. And this is my dirt. That's not the dirt that was, this is all my dirt. Hence the reason I'm not wearing gloves. Wow. Well, you can clearly see there that it works.
Summary.
Well, I am as pleased as punch with that. Now, I'm not so pleased with the price. I can't find the price. It's not for sale anymore on Amazon. But one of the reviews says that for £35, it's not bad. Now, obviously, it's not a new product. It's been used and I've fixed the motor. I don't know if I've done it too tight or too loose. It seems to be picking up just great, and it would be perfect for a second vacuum. You know, if somebody was doing, maybe if somebody had a caravan or something and they didn't want to buy an expensive vacuum, this would be perfect for them. Or if you were doing building works, you didn't want to ruin your own vacuum cleaner, then this would be ideal. So I've put it down as friends and family, 25%. £8.75. Surely anybody would be happy to buy that for £8.75. What's amazing though is reading the reviews. They're either really good, 4 or 5 star, or really poor, just 1 star. And some of the 1-star ones are hilarious. People saying that they do a better job if they got down on their hands and knees and used a straw and sucked up along the carpet. Loads of people are saying though that it overheats after 10 or 15 minutes, and then they have to let it cool down and it starts working again. Now, I couldn't see anything in there that would do that unless it was that thermal fuse. That big metal thermal fuse must be a resettable one. So that's good. So if it does overheat, at least it will reset itself, not like a popcorn maker or something where once the thermal fuse is gone, it's gone. I think that thermal fuse is a resettable one. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that video there. I know money-wise, it's not even worth doing. but the enjoyment of fixing that motor. And also, it's not just that. This now is not in landfill. Look at it. There's so much of it to go in landfill, but somebody will use this and somebody will hopefully enjoy it for however long it lasts. And even if that motor fix only lasts for another 20 or 30 goes, it's still got 20 or 30 more goes than it had before I worked on it. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you again tomorrow on the next day in this Advent challenge.